Okay, we're here in SDE, and I want to thank Professor Tay Keng Soon and Chris, Stephen, Yi Tiang, and forgot your name already, Clarence, right? For being here. Today I'm going to ask a few questions on truly what I call a really bold and innovative project, maybe even extending the boundaries of what a university and a city should be. Because when I first heard it, first of all, my brain couldn't digest, but I loved it. So I want Professor Tay Keng Soon to give us a quick introduction, and then get one or two or three students. I will ask you the questions on what gets you excited about the project, and what may keep you up nights on the project. That means, what are the challenges? But we'll start with Keng Soon first.
Yeah, I mean, the idea about education, I think, is an issue that's on everybody's mind. If we are able to change the mindset of the university students, we would get good results within 6 to 8 years. What does that mean? Changing the mindset means we need to connect book learning and life learning. So this is the pedagogical intention of this master plan, which we worked on for one semester with 8 students. And the idea is two things. One, how do we make sure that 100% of students can live in the campus at a very, very low cost? So that's the first issue. Second is, how do we overcome the transportation problems within the campus? Because the distance from here to here is 1.8 kilometers. Right now there's about 50,000 people here. Moving around is very difficult, so we have huge buses that move around. But we think that we should have a bicycle track, an elevated bicycle track that will link up everything. Everybody can move to any point on the campus within 5 minutes. Okay, so this is the second agenda. The third agenda is, how do we bring in small and medium-sized enterprises and social enterprises to integrate with the academic program, so that the SMEs who are here will provide mentoring as well as tutoring, right? So those are the three main things. So what you see here, this blue track here, is an elevated bicycle track, which overcomes the terrain problems. We are a pretty hilly site.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to cycle around. So once we have that, then it means total accessibility for everybody. Not just bicycles, but electric scooters and hoverboards and all that kind of stuff.
Skateboards.
Yeah, skateboard. Yeah. And then link up the housing. This is the housing, right? Together next to the track. So the track becomes the central nervous system of this campus, conceived as a living organism. So that is the whole idea.
More important, I think you chose the right words. You as you say, the pedagogy of all universities you teach.
Yeah.
You use now two words which are rarely heard, which is really mentoring.
Yeah.
And almost being an apprentice, because that's how the real world works.
Yeah.
So when it's time, one of you students can talk about the master plan and how you integrate the city with the university.
Okay, so maybe I'll ask Christian straight away to talk about how do you house 100% students at a very affordable cost in the campus?
Okay.
If they want to stay here, right? Some want to stay at home, but go ahead.
Yeah. So actually, to add life to the campus, one of the key strategies that we do is to actually try to have 100% residential stay in college, and this is so that the students not only have experience in books, but actually they get to interact with one another, and they learn social skills, and they learn how to interact and make things happen, basically. And so our strategy is really to have to insert all these houses along the central nervous system, and we have chosen places that avoid as much destruction of the natural campus as possible. Yes, and then housing them along this central nervous system will give them access to that they can get from one point to another of the campus within 5 minutes. The idea, yeah.
So maybe I'll ask Stephen, how do you house the students at a low cost? What is the form of housing?
Basically, for the housing, we are exploring the use of container as a student unit. So because containers is quite cheap and it's structural, so basically all these units that you see here will be like stacked containers. So the students will have to live in a container that is one container is split into 2 units. So each student will have half a container to themselves. And because of the cheapness of these containers, the cost can be reduced to about $100 per month per student.
Wow. But because of these containers and the density here, you must have used a mathematical modeling to get that human density up. Could you speak a little bit about
So
that?
for that, right, actually we actually explored various forms of typologies of housing to maximize the number of units within the housing. Actually, we realized we came up with this thing called the mathematical width, which is actually a long and narrow kind of typology which you see here. So you actually have this very narrow place where people can enter, and then the footprint itself is actually branching outwards. So this itself gives and then it branches out, and then it branches out even more, and so this actually maximizes the amount of occupants inside. Actually, we did a lot of we did testing as well. And then the other thing that's quite interesting also is how we vary the different heights also, because we don't want it to be that monotonous. So you can identify yourself at certain points of the campus. And every time we make one higher, we actually we increase the number at that point, and then we decrease the number at another point. So in that sense, we still keep that mathematical numbers, and the number of people still can be in the campus.
So there's really some mathematical optimization that went along with this, given the so-called boundary limits that you have.
Correct. So just to be clear, the average height of these are 8 stacks.
8 stacks.
Yeah, but if it has to go much higher like this, which is really excessively high, then there has to be an exoskeleton, so that you can stack even more. So here, for example, it goes up to 20 stories.
Wow.
Yeah, but this is to test the outside limits of density, right? We probably would not need to push to the extent of 200,000 people.
Right.
100,000 nighttime population and another 100,000 daytime population, making 200,000 in total.
Wow.
So this becomes, NUS campus becomes a city.
Yeah.
So the concept I'm thinking in the future of universities is that universities must become cities, or better still to be in the central parts of cities. Because we cannot just rely on book learning, we need a whole array of human knowledge and human skills.
I hope the skills future people are listening.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about your concept now? Because I think Keng Soon mentioned a very interesting concept.
Yeah, so describe this project here.
Actually, this building for our the start point, because we think the future education should include the brain, the heart, and the hands. So the heart means we build our personality from our the education in the university, and for the brain it means we can think more creativity and have more the innovation idea. And for the hand, that means we can just start on the paper. Everything can't just stop on the paper. We actually need to build it. So these two buildings include the different faculties, the 8 faculty in the NUS, and it also includes the studio and the laboratorium. So it will become the twin tower. So for one tower, it will become the office for for our innovation people, and another tower will include like the 8 faculty, but we would like to break the boundary between the faculty. It means we can build a very comfortable and very creative environment for people who can work in there. And another idea we also we want to combine the art and the science, because we think for the laboratorium it's because we search for 2 case study, one from the Tsinghua and another from the Art Royal College in British. It's like 2 opposite university. One is very focused on the science and another focused on the art. So the idea for this laboratory tower, we think we can bring together the art and the science, so we can see more creative ideas to see how we can combine the art and the science and to make our own products.
So in short, you are not only fusing art and science, you're putting the elements of design into the fusion of arts and science for greater innovation. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
So, anybody wants to wrap up now? Generally, who wants to do a wrap up? Clarence.
Clarence will be talking about the new heart of the campus. Right?
Yeah.
So that will be a good place. She was talking about brain, hands, and heart.
Yeah, so far where the heart is. So this is
that.
actually the university hall, the new university hall where all the administrative buildings or departments will be in particular Office of Finance and also the other officers as well, provost in this case. And then this one will be the student union building. So right now the university hall and the student union building is actually quite spaced apart. They're not adjacent to each other. So right now the reason why we put it together is because we want to foster a more closer relationship between the staff and the students. In this case, giving the students also more responsibilities in the several administrative departments. And then in the middle, which is the much celebrated plaza space, could be also double up for other purposes as well.
So that's the one where you have the Li Gongqiang and the UCC and all of that.
Yes, it's quite close by. So it's where this is actually the Natural History Museum, and then this is where the cultural center is. So we are actually consolidating and putting all the other all the administrative buildings close by, so that they can get it'll be a more richer space, I feel, in general.
That president and provost has to move.
They have to move to it.
Yeah, but that means that this existing university hall will then be converted to a different function. And we are suggesting that it's a good place to have a fantastic university hotel here, right? Where
visitors can come in.
Visitors can come in and so on,
Okay, great. This has been a real education. Any last words quickly, because I think you've done a really good job.
I think in master planning the whole campus, a great deal of concern was on how do we preserve the greenery. You know, despite the fact that we are going to increase the density of people as well as buildings here a lot, we are able to preserve in fact the entire hill is preserved. Including all the pocket parks.
So the ridge is preserved.
And all the new buildings are in fact built on top of existing car parks. So we are not demolishing. We are not demolishing any buildings at all. So this is really kind of insertion, modification rather than redevelopment. It's not redevelopment. It is further development.
One quick question. I don't want to ask the usual question about bureaucrats and their views on this, but where would you be starting when you do this?
Very likely that this would be the starting point. This is Ventus Building, which is the estate department. This is Clementi Road. This is the big forest here. The existing bus interchange is here. So this is the ideal place. And this is where there's an existing car park. We will build over the existing car park, right? So in fact, we've had meetings with estate department as well as the provost, and basically also minister is very interested in this idea. I had a meeting with the Minister for Higher Education, Mr. Ong Yi Kang, and he likes the ideas.
No, I think this is a revolutionary idea.
Yeah. So if we can really start off, and I think he wants to see, you know, a successful pilot project.
Exactly.
Once we can achieve the kind of housing that is attractive, that is very cheap and very functionable, then we could think about multiplying it across the whole campus. And then we will be in a new phase for NUS and perhaps a new phase for Singapore.
Yep, and a new face for the world actually, because
Oh,
you
no,
now...
let's
Again, Keng Soon and all the students here, thank you very much for a real education in the fusion of academia and city life.
No, it was a pleasure working with the students because, you know, it touched them because this is their future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me go beyond. It can go to your children's future.